When our Metro kids get in trouble, they could end up in one or ultimately two places. Let's start with the Bernalillo County Juvenile Detention Center. It's basically a holding cell, but when those teens get convicted, they could end up at a state-run facility. So we want to know, are those programs actually treating our youngest offenders? The kids who come to the Bernalillo County Juvenile Detention Center are considered some of the most dangerous suspects. Craig Sparks is the center's director. What kind of treatment and programs do they have access to while they're here?
So we're not a treatment. We don't provide treatment. We do provide quite a few programs. They're mainly experiential.
Move your foot on this side.
The focus here, keep these kids busy.
That's it. Run.
Otherwise, Sparks says there could be fights or other problems. That sometimes leads to more trouble. Some of these teens are murder suspects.
Our typical average of number of kids in on a murder charge was about 1 or 2.
The alleged is a danger to the community.
But that's definitely different these days. More than 20 metro area teens were charged with murder just in 2019. We've learned only 12 of them are still locked up. The rest are out awaiting trial. Here's an even more alarming stat. For 40% of them, this is their first time getting in trouble. Essentially, they went from having no criminal record to being accused of killing someone. If they are convicted, they could be sentenced to serve time at 3 CYFD-run facilities across the state, like the one here, the Youth Diagnostic and Development Center in Northeast Albuquerque.
The court order actually only just orders the commitment itself. The judges can make recommendations.
But at that point, it's up to CYFD to treat these convicted teens. And essentially, those teens hold the most power when it comes to what happens to them behind bars. So when you say kids over the age of 14 don't have to accept treatment, but when the court orders it, how does that work?
Over the age of 14, they really have the ability to choose whether or not to be on medication or not to be on medication, which I know is difficult not only for folks that work with them, but that's a difficult part for parents as well. You know, parents would love sometimes for a judge to be able to order their kid to be on medication or do treatment, and that's just not the way that the system works.
CYFD Deputy Director Nick Costalis says most teens do accept some form of treatment, but again, they don't have to. What is mandatory? School.
He told Banks a week prior that he'd wish to disappear.
But therapy, recommended, not forced. Is that frustrating for you that they might not accept therapy, treatment?
It is. It's hard just because I think as adults and as professionals, I think we often know what would really help them, you know, move forward or deal with some of those things. But it's hard to watch. It really is.
You may be thinking, what good is a youth offender program if a teen doesn't have to participate? This optional approach is not an accident. Our state designed this system years ago.
Part of that is, I think, the job that we try to do to educate people about what the system is for. Like I said, we moved away from it being a punishment system, and I think a lot of times that's what people think it still is, that it's, well, kids need to be punished for the behavior that they do. Punishment doesn't breed change, though, and I think ultimately that's what people want. They don't want kids to come back out and do the same things over and over again. So that's only going to happen within a rehabilitative model.
No, we don't.
What evidence can you share that shows that these kids are getting better while here?
I think one of the things that we try to track is, are you reducing the risk factors that maybe they came into us with?
The teens themselves identify those risk factors with the help of whoever they choose, like a coach, relatives, or workers at CYFD facilities. We also learned convicted teens have a say in how long they actually stay locked up, if they have a plan to address their risk factors. However, even the people who are paid to try and get these kids on a better path admit this.
One thing that we can't change is their environment sometimes. We can focus a lot of work on the kids, but if the family's not getting better, or if they're still struggling with, you know, poverty issues or substance abuse issues, it's really hard for those kids to be successful and still people making choices. And that's the thing that's hard, is when you're talking about human nature, there's always going to be people that make individual choices, regardless of what kind of plan we put in place for them. And that's difficult. That's difficult for people to see when kids fail, because when kids fail, we all fail.
CYFD data shows 20% of teens who leave secure facilities pick up a new offense within 2 years.
And Megan joins us now along with Brittany Costello, because all three of us have been working together on looking at teen violence here in our metro. Megan, once a convicted juvenile turns 18, what happens at that point?
Yeah, there's a couple of options. So what we've seen is, one, the court will hold a hearing to determine if that teen has participated and then responded well to treatment and then is ready to be released, or if the teen should be transferred to an adult prison. It goes from there.
Who shot you? Who shot you? Who's around here? We need to know before we get hurt. Who's out here? Who shot you? Who shot you? Jose, stay with me. Who shot you?
Police officers trying to help a man shot at the Belen Crossing apartments, then dumped in the parking lot of a nearby business. It happened back in February, but people who live at the apartment complex remember it like it happened yesterday.
And the car went vroom right there, and then they turned around and went vroom and then left.
Stop. You know exactly what happened.
I don't know what happened.
Have a seat.
The shooting left the victim seen in this video paralyzed from the waist down, but no one behind bars. Interim Police Chief Jose Natividad knows the people who hang around these apartments well.
These are the people running the crime.
Yes, in our town, they're the people that are frequent flyers. We deal with them on a daily basis. We know them by name. If we don't know their exact date of birth, we know what year they were born in.
Born in 85, right?
Yes.
The February shooting is just one of many crimes centered around the tiny apartment complex, which sits right in the middle of Belen. Records collected by KOB4 show 228 calls for police service in less than a year.
Anything that revolves around narcotics, fights, loud parties, shootings, illegal narcotic use, it's a little bit of everything.
The crimes include battery, prostitution, domestic violence, and theft.
That's what they do. That's all they do is around here is drugs. It seems like you won't see normal anything around here.
This woman agreed to speak with us about what it's like to live at the complex, but did not want us to share her name.
People that steal, and they steal people's cars around here. Another man, his car got stolen twice in a matter of 2 weeks.
You name it, we're out there all the time.
Records show police have been called to the complex as much as 3 times a day.
And some days it's a miracle if the cops don't come.
That's crazy.
Police say squatting is a problem here too. Lapel camera video shows police storming into one apartment after a call for drugs came in back in January.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Anywhere from 6 to 7 people, 1 juvenile, several of our repeat offenders, and then 1 person with a warrant.
Police say none of the 7 people found inside the apartment that day actually lived there.
What are you guys doing here if the owner says nobody's supposed to be in here?
Who else is in this house?
The people that live here let people in, like say me, like I live here with my 2 daughters, but everyone else still have themselves plus 10 of their friends, and their friends bring more friends.
The complex is owned by the J.L. Gray Company in Farmington. With so many problems and so many concerns from police and the people who live here, we reached out to the company to see what they would do to make this place safer.
Hello, and thank you for calling the J.L. Gray Company.
How are you handling all of these people who shouldn't be there?
Oh, I can't talk about any specific case.
Company officials say they're giving out eviction and trespassing notices and cooperating with police on criminal cases.
If someone's breaking the rules, we're trying to catch them so that we can then go to the courts with the evidence we need.
We do have some success in putting some away for some years, but at the same time, you know, they do their time, come out, and continue their repetitive behavior.
Interim Chief Natividad says officers have stepped up patrols, but he still worries about what could happen next.
Narcotics, we have violence, shootings, drugs in the area. You know, it makes it an unsafe place for somebody to have their children. For somebody who wants to be at the playground, are they going to find a needle today? Are they going to get stuck with a needle? What's next?
I just wish it was a safer place for the babies, because there's a lot of girls that are single moms here.
This woman says she's close to giving up.
It's scary to live here, and I am even trying to move too.
Megan Abundis, KOB4.